So now we're in the app. We'll connect to Viva with Bluetooth. So we should connect the phone to the car's Bluetooth.
Hi, I'm Rovi.
Alexa, how's the weather?
In Oakland Gardens, it's 36 degrees with intermittent clouds. Today, you can look for lots of clouds, with a high of 48 degrees and a low of 36 degrees.
This quick start guide will help you get your Rovi camera installed, powered up, and ready to use. Insert a Class 10 micro SD card with up to 64 gigabytes of storage. Micro SD card sold separately. Slide the camera into the magnetic mount. Before removing the red backing tape, determine optimal camera placement. Clean your window and remove backing tape to install the mount. Press firmly for several seconds to assure a solid bond. To adjust camera angle, press the button and move the camera either up or down. The mount also rotates 360 degrees, allowing you to select any view you want, interior, exterior, or off to the side. Attach the magnetic GPS antenna to the side of the mount. Plug the power cord into the camera and feed the cord into the headliner, across the top of the windshield, and out of the field of vision. Plug in the 12-volt power adapter. You're now ready to power up and start using your Rovi dash camera. For more detailed instructions, refer to your owner's manual.
Okay, let's power this up. I have highlighted the three wires we're going to be concerned with. The red wire, which is accessory 12 volts, the yellow wire, which is always on 12 volts, and the black, which is ground. This plugs into the bottom plug, and it's keyed, so you can't put it in the wrong place. Then we're going to tease out these three wires that we need. For the purposes of testing it, we're just wiring together the yellow and the red. And that's going to go to plus 12 DC on this small battery that we'll be using to test it. And there it goes on the plus 12 volt terminal on the battery. And then the black wire, we're simply going to hook up to the minus 12 volt, the ground on the battery. And we should have ignition, and there it is. Okay, well, let's wire up the backup camera and test that. Here is the camera itself. That's the wiring that goes to the backup light. And that's the wire that goes from the camera all the way up to the head unit. Okay, there's the backup wiring diagram that we're going to be using. First we'll plug in to the red jack, this black one, that goes to the backup light. It's going to provide power. The red will provide the power, the black DC ground. And the yellow jack, coming from the camera, plugs into the yellow jack on the long cable going back to the head unit. Okay, the red wire goes from the backup light, runs alongside, and hooks up. For testing purposes, we're just going to wire these two together. In the real world, that's exactly where they'll be wired together. The other end goes to the head unit, camera input, lower right-hand corner. Now the other end of the red wire is going to go to the backup in signal. There it is, A2. It's actually a gray wire in the harness that wires into that extra red wire. So we'll wind those two together, wrap those two together temporarily here, and then we can test this backup camera. Okay, we're going to simulate a backup light signal by putting a jumper on those two wires we wound together earlier, putting it on 12 volts. Okay, the camera's in backup, and it takes over whatever's on the screen, gives you the backup view. So this camera looks like it's going to work okay. It has lights on it as well, and pretty much established. I did not have to hook up the ground. It's grounded internally. Well, let's start with the harness. Look at this. That's in. And then there's the antenna, which keeps getting away from me. You want to listen to some radio, and then tuck everything in there. Okay, the camera wiring is going to be run along the lower left side of the car, under the doors, under those little pieces of plastic there. I'm not showing that. Okay, we've mounted the camera onto the back of the car, and we're running wire through the trunk, right through a grommet. And here we are once again, just as we did earlier when we did the test. There's the real world wiring, yellow to yellow, and the black backup wire cable to the red jack. And you're splicing two together. These wires, though, are rather fine. They're like 22 gauge. I'm pulling it back now because we have to put the red against the red and splice that together. And we'll see if it works. Okay, let's bring the backup light power to the camera and to the monitor up in front with our splice and see if it's going to work with these 22 gauge wires. Now we're routing the longer wire. The nice thing about these connectors is you don't have to cut the wires, because that'd be the other option, to cut these and butt splice them or wire nut them. The kit does not come with any connectors at all. So there we are splicing. Okay, this part is optional. I'm going to use that black wire and ground it the way it's really intended to be done. I couldn't find anything in the lid, but I found a ground in the trunk itself. Okay, going to crimp a spade fitting onto this ground here. Okay, now we found our ground here. I'll just slip it under here. Got a 6mm coarse thread nut that fits on there. Okay, so it appears there is room for one more wire here. In this, well, it's a little bit reluctant to come through there. There it goes. Alright. We'll tie that up inside. Make sure that's more than enough to get to our backup light here. Okay, the green wire is the power wire. And now we're going to tap into that wire and splice it to our power wire coming back. Make sure it's in there all the way. Pick your spot. On the green wire, push through. Make sure that's in its slot. And then we'll just splice it. Okay, let's see if it works. Shifting into reverse. Okay, this first splice that I made didn't work. Cut through the insulation, but didn't get to the actual conductor. So you could butt splice or wire nut these. I chose the wire nut. Okay, let's shift into reverse. Okay, It's working.